All right, let's just jump right in. Welcome to this explainer, where we are going to dismantle a few modern cliches and figure out how the absolute most sophisticated machine on Earth, your own mind, actually works. We're drawing from some really fascinating insights shared by Sadhguru, and he breaks down our internal mechanics in a way that's honestly incredibly structured and eye-opening.
So, I want you to ask yourself a question. Are you suffering life, or are you just suffering your memory and your imagination? Because according to yogic philosophy, most of the time, we aren't actually suffering reality. We are agonizing over something that happened 10 years ago, or stressing out about what might happen tomorrow. We're agonizing over things that literally do not exist right now, which means we're entirely suffering our own memory and imagination.
To fix this, we're basically going to walk through a literal user's manual for the human mind in this explainer, broken down into 6 key parts. We'll hit the Be Present trap, the missing user's manual, the 4 aspects of intelligence, taking charge of karma, the ultimate chemical factory, and finally, yoga as union. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The Be Present trap, and why shutting down the mind is actually a big mistake.
Now, you hear this everywhere today, right? The ultimate Western self-help advice, just be in the moment, or stop overthinking. But the source material totally challenges this. Think about it. It took millions of years for the brain to evolve from single-celled organisms to this unbelievable level of capacity. So telling this highly evolved machine to just stop thinking about the past or the future, that's kind of a silly way to live. Shutting down that immense evolutionary capacity just makes you a dodo. The goal isn't to stop the brain. It's to learn how to drive the thing.
And here is the total contradiction. Look at our biological reality. We never, ever try to stop our heart from beating or our liver from working, right? They're running constantly, managing dozens of complex processes without any issue. But psychologically, we constantly battle our brain's natural ability to manage 1,000 tracks at once. We want to just shut the brain off, simply because we don't know how to handle the noise.
Moving right along to Section 2. The Missing User's Manual. Bumbling around with sophisticated technology.
This brings us to the core problem. Without a manual, we are basically bumbling around with the single most sophisticated piece of technology on the planet. Sadhguru has this really striking quote: "No one stabs you, but from inside, it stabs you." Our incredible intellect has quite literally become our own worst enemy. Like no one is physically attacking us, yet we are constantly cutting ourselves from the inside out with stress, anxiety, and distress. Our intelligence has turned against us.
To really grasp this self-inflicted stabbing, we have to separate our existential reality from our psychological reality. Picture a totally harmless piece of rope lying on the ground. That is your existential reality. It's just a rope. But if your mind mistakes that rope for a snake, your psychological reality instantly takes over. Your blood pressure spikes, your heart palpitates, you sweat, you experience genuine biological panic over something completely fabricated by your own mind.
Okay, Section 3. 4 aspects of intelligence, decoding the mechanics of the mind. If we want to regain control over this wildly powerful tool, we need to decode how it works. Yogic tradition maps out 4 distinct aspects of human intelligence: buddhi, ahankara, manas, and chitta. Understanding how these 4 pieces interface is essentially our blueprint for taking our minds back.
There's a brilliant metaphor for this. Think of your intellect, the buddhi, as a super sharp knife. A sharp knife is fantastic, right? It's meant to slice through and penetrate reality. But the ahankara? That's the hand holding the knife. That's your identity. If the hand holding that knife is unsteady, or if it's restricted to a tiny, limited identity, like just your ego or your nationality, you are inevitably going to end up cutting yourself or the people around you.
And it goes deeper, because this knife is actually fueled by manas, which is essentially a massive, deep silo of memory. And we're not just talking about surface memory like what you ate for breakfast. This includes deep evolutionary and genetic memory. But beneath all of that noise is chitta. This is pure cosmic intelligence, completely unsullied by memory. And the idea is that only by touching this deepest level, pure intelligence, can we finally escape being a slave to our past conditioning.
Which tees up Section 4 perfectly, taking charge of karma, moving from accidental to conscious living.
Now that we know the actual parts of the machine, the knife, the hand, the memory, the pure intelligence, how do we operate it? First things first, we have to reframe a heavily misunderstood word. Forget everything you thought karma meant. It is not some cosmic tally of good and bad points handing out justice. Karma simply means action.
That's it. It refers to your physical, mental, emotional, and energetic actions, all of which are driven by your own internal volition.
But here is the absolute tragedy of it all. Roughly 99% of our actions, our thoughts, and our emotions, they are happening entirely unconsciously. It's exactly like falling asleep at the wheel while driving 70 miles an hour down the highway. I mean, if 99% of your internal karma is happening completely unconsciously, your life is going to feel accidental. It's constantly going to feel like things are just happening to you.
Section 5. The ultimate chemical factory, and stepping up to take the CEO position of your body. So this brings us directly to the physical fallout of operating this machine blindly. Every single emotion you experience has a very real chemical basis in your body. When we feel stressed out, or angry, or lonely, we are actively, even if unconsciously, manufacturing misery inside ourselves. So think about it. If you were the CEO of the absolute greatest chemical factory on the entire planet, why on earth would you produce stress and misery when you have the capacity to produce ecstasy?
Look, you're never going to control the outside world. It is never going to operate exactly the way you want it to 100% of the time. But if you take charge of your internal chemistry, you guarantee that your internal world works exactly how you want it to. As the source material suggests, you can actually choose to be a blissful failure over a miserable success. Because if your internal chemistry is joyful, even your external failures are experienced beautifully. It's a total game changer.
Finally, we hit Section 6, Yoga as Union, expanding the boundaries of who you are.
To tie this whole manual together, we're going to redefine one last commodified Western concept. Yoga isn't just about twisting yourself into a pretzel on a mat while wearing fancy pants. The word literally translates to union. It is the profound, experiential realization that there is zero separation between you and the cosmos. It's about expanding your boundaries of sensation. And when you realize this unity, you naturally prevent that sharp knife of your intellect from harming anyone or anything, because you fundamentally understand that everything is a part of you.
It sounds abstract, I know, but think about how simple this actually is. Imagine a bottle of water sitting on a table. It's outside your boundary of sensation. But the second you drink it, what was once not you immediately becomes you. It becomes part of your internal sensation. This brilliantly proves that our physical and psychological boundaries are totally fluid. Our identities can absolutely expand to encompass the entire world around us if we just raise our level of conscious attention.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. Now that you've got the user's manual to your own mind, how are you going to handle your incredible intelligence? Are you going to continue to fall asleep at the wheel and suffer your own memories? Or will you finally take conscious control of your chemical factory and experience life blissfully? Think about how you're going to hold that knife today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next one.